The boat that feels safest is often the most dangerous one you could buy. There's one psychological trap that tricks almost every beginner into choosing the wrong boat. And I'll tell you exactly what that trap is and how to avoid it. But first, let me show you how this plays out in real life. Hi guys, my name is Zach. I'm working towards eventually living on a boat full time. So everything I learn on the way there, especially the stuff beginners get wrong, I bring straight to you guys on this channel. And safety is the number one thing people stressed out about. It's also where they make the biggest mistakes. So let's break this down the right way. Picture this. You're at a boat show or scrolling through listings online. You see a massive 48-foot catamaran, wide decks, standing headroom, bright saloons with huge windows, spacious cockpit, separate cabins. When you step aboard, it feels like a floating apartment. That's room to move. Nothing feels cramped, nothing feels claustrophobic. Your brain immediately goes, my family would feel safe here. There's space for everyone. We won't be on top of each other. Now compare that to a 32-foot cruiser. Smaller cockpit, tighter interior, less headroom. When you go below deck, you have to duck. The galley is compact. Everything is efficient. Your brain goes, this feels tight. This feels vulnerable. What if we're all stuck down here together in bad weather? So naturally, you choose the big boat. More space equals more safety, right? That's what your brain tells you, and that choice seems logically smart, but that choice might be the most dangerous one you ever make out on the water. Here's what beginners don't realize. All that space and comfort, it doesn't help you when the engine dies at 2 a.m. It doesn't help when the anchor starts dragging towards rocks. And it definitely doesn't help when the through hull starts leaking or the water maker breaks in the Bahamas. The pattern I see over and over again is simple. Beginners buy boats based on how they feel, not on whether they can actually operate them. And here's the thing. The bigger and more comfortable boat, the more complex the systems. More systems means more things that can go wrong. And if you don't understand these systems, all that space becomes a trap, not a safety feature. Here's what's really happening. And this is the trap I mentioned earlier. Your brain is terrible at evaluating danger in unfamiliar environments. So it uses shortcuts. And the biggest shortcut is this. Comfort equals safety. Wide decks feel safe. Tall ceilings feel safe. Separate cabins all feel safe. A huge cockpit definitely feels safe because nothing is squeezing you. Nothing feels fragile. But none of that protects you when things go wrong. Comfort only distracts you from the real risks. There are two types of safety, and beginners confuse them constantly. Emotional safety is how protected you feel. It comes from the space, the bright interiors, and the big windows. It reduces anxiety. It makes you comfortable, but does not reduce risk. Operational safety is how protected you actually are when things go wrong. It comes from understanding your boat, knowing your systems, and being able to troubleshoot confidently. And here's the kicker. Those two types of safety often work against each other. The boat that makes you feel safest often makes you behave less safely. Let me show you how this works in a real-world situation. Scenario 1. Anchor is dragging at night. On the big, comfortable boat, you wake up to alarms. You're groggy. You need to start the engine. But wait, which engine? How do you switch fuel tanks? What's the emergency start? You're fumbling in the dark through a manual you barely read. The comfort doesn't help you now. On a smaller boat, you actually understand. You know exactly where everything is. You're practiced this. You can start the engine with your eyes closed. That's operational safety. It's not the boat. It's how well you know your boat. Scenario 2. Equipment failure offshore. The big boat has a water maker, a generator, complex electrical, twin engines. When something breaks, you have no idea where to start because you never learned the systems. You just wanted the features. The boat you understand might have similar systems, but you know how to troubleshoot them. You know where every valve is, every breaker, every backup. Scenario 3. Heavy weather. Here's the psychological trap. On the big Sable Catamaran, you feel so safe that you push harder. Reef later, take more risks. The boat's comfort makes you overconfident. On a smaller monohull, that heel that talks to you, you're naturally more cautious. You reef earlier. You check weather more carefully. The boat keeps you humble. Sometimes fear is actually a safety feature. So here's the factor I teased at the beginning. The one thing that changes everything. Beginners aren't buying safety. They're buying relief from fear. They want the fear to stop, so they buy space, comfort, bright interiors, and for a few weeks, it works. They feel great. They feel safe until the first real problem appears. Then they didn't realize. The boat didn't make them safer. Their understanding did. Real safety isn't about how calm your boat looks. It's about how well you understand it. Can you handle it? Do you know its quirks? Can you react confidently when things go wrong? That's safety. A smaller boat can be terrifying if you don't understand it. A bigger boat can be perfectly manageable if you take time to learn it. True operational safety comes from understanding, not guessing. The trap is not the size of the boat. The trap is buying a boat you don't know how to operate. More space, more systems, more luxury? That only works if you actually understand what you're handling. Otherwise, a calm-looking boat turns into a stress machine in the wrong conditions. Here's the honest answer nobody wants to say because it's not clickbait. Big boats are not always dangerous. Small boats are not always safer. The danger comes from the mismatch between your confidence and your knowledge. If you want a 50-foot catamaran and you're willing to spend 100 hours learning every system, every procedure, every quirk, then buy it. That's operational safety. But if you're buying it because it feels safe, because it's spacious and comfortable and looks like a floating condo, and you're not planning to master all of these complex systems, then you're not buying safety. You're buying a very expensive way to get into a lot of trouble. The best boat for you isn't the one that feels safest. It's the one you're willing to truly understand. Because on the water, understanding is the only thing that actually keeps you alive. So before you buy your dream boat, ask yourself, do I want to feel safe or do I want to be safe? Because you might not get both. If you disagree with me on this, tell me why in the comments. Because that comment means you're thinking. And that's exactly what keeps you safe out there. Subscribe if you haven't already. And check out this video. Watch this video, guys, where I break down Catamaran versus Monohull, but where safety comes into play. Which one is safer? If you want to know, check that video out. That's all I've got for you guys. Peace.